The sun dipped low over the plains, painting the horizon in strokes of orange and rose. The old wooden boards of the ranch house porch creaked beneath Clara's boots as she shifted from one foot to the other. She pulled her shawl tighter across her shoulders, though it wasn't the evening chill that set her nerves alight, it was him. Jacob Callahan leaned against the porch rail, the brim of his hat shadowing his steady blue eyes. His shirt was unbuttoned at the top, as though he'd come straight from the day's work without bothering to make himself proper. Dust clung to his boots, and leather gloves still hugged his hands. Every inch of him carried the mark of a man who belonged to the land, strong, rugged, and untamed. Clara cleared her throat, trying to find courage. She'd grown up in the small town of Dry Creek, a place where news spread faster than wildfire. Folks knew her as the quiet schoolteacher, always polite, always proper. She wasn't used to being alone with a man like Jacob. The kind of man who could ride into town and turn heads without saying a word. Her heart hammered in her chest as she finally confessed, her voice barely louder than the crickets. "I've never been kissed." Jacob froze. The glove creaked as his fist tightened around the brim of his hat. Slowly, he pulled it off and held it at his side. For a long moment, the only sounds were the soft whisper of wind across the prairie grass and the creak of the rocking chair swaying on its own. His gaze found hers, piercing, thoughtful. Then the corner of his mouth tugged upward in the faintest smile. Then, he said gently, "Let's start slow." Clara flushed crimson. "I shouldn't have told you that," she whispered, looking down at her hands, fingers twisting nervously in the fringe of her shawl. Jacob stepped closer, boots firm against the old porch. "I'm glad you did." His voice was low, steady, carrying a warmth that made her chest ache. No one had ever spoken to her that way. Not with mockery, not with pity, but with understanding. He stood so near now she could see the faint scar above his collarbone, the stubble along his jaw, the sun's kiss on his skin. "You deserve your first kiss to mean something," he said. "Not rushed. Not stolen." Clara's lips parted slightly. "And, you'd want to be the one." Jacob gave a short chuckle, rubbing the back of his neck as though unsure of himself for once. "I can't deny it. From the first time I saw you in town, reading stories to the children on the school steps, I thought," he stopped, exhaled. "I thought I'd never meet someone so full of light." Her heart swelled. Clara had always believed herself plain, unremarkable. But when Jacob looked at her, she felt like the only woman in the world. Jacob began walking her home in the evenings after school, leading his horse beside them rather than riding ahead. Sometimes they talked of little things, weather, books, the ranch. Sometimes they walked in silence, the kind that felt comfortable, as though their hearts spoke what their lips could not. One evening, as they passed the wheat fields, Clara asked, "Why haven't you married?" Jacob's jaw tightened. "Life's taken me far from such things. Lost my folks young. Been drifting since. Settling down, it never seemed meant for me." He glanced at her then, his eyes softer. "But maybe I was just waiting for the right reason." Clara looked away quickly, afraid he might see the hope blooming in her. Not everyone approved of their closeness. At church one Sunday, whispers stirred when Clara walked in on Jacob's arm. Mrs. Abernathy, the widow who had her sight set on Jacob herself, sneered loud enough for all to hear, "A schoolmarm courting a drifter. Shameful. He'll be gone before the first frost." Clara felt heat rise in her cheeks, shame pressing down on her chest. She excused herself quickly, but Jacob caught her hand outside the chapel. "Don't you listen to them," he said firmly. "They don't know me. They don't know us." Tears pricked Clara's eyes. "But what if they're right? What if you do leave?" Jacob cupped her cheek with a calloused hand, forcing her to meet his gaze. "Clara, I've ridden across half this country and never found a place worth staying. Until now." Her breath caught. She wanted to believe him more than anything. Weeks passed, and their bond deepened. One golden evening, Jacob took her to the meadow where wildflowers stretched as far as the eye could see. They lay in the tall grass, watching clouds drift lazily overhead. Clara turned on her side, studying the strong line of his jaw. Her heart pounded with longing. She whispered, "Jacob. Amicham." He turned toward her, his face just inches away. "I think," she swallowed hard. "I think I'm ready." He didn't move at first. His eyes searched hers, serious, almost questioning. "Clara, once I kiss you, there's no turning back. I'll be yours, if you'll have me." Her voice trembled. "I want nothing more." Slowly, carefully, Jacob leaned in. His lips brushed hers like a whisper, tender and unhurried. The world seemed to fall away, the flowers, the sky, even time itself. It was just them, bound together by something fierce and gentle all at once. When he pulled back, Clara touched her lips, breathless. That was, she couldn't find the words. Jacob smiled. "Worth waiting for?" Tears glistened in her eyes as she nodded. Yes. The kiss was only the beginning. Their courtship blossomed despite gossip, despite doubt. Jacob worked the ranch with new purpose, no longer a drifter but a man building a life. Clara taught her students with fresh joy, her heart alight with dreams of the future. One evening, as the sun bled across the horizon, Jacob knelt on the very porch where she'd first confessed her secret. Hat in hand, voice rough with emotion, he asked, "Clara, will you be my reason to stay? My wife, my forever?" Clara's eyes filled with tears, but her voice was steady. "Yes, Jacob. 1,000 times yes." And when he kissed her then, deeper, surer, yet still filled with the same tenderness of that first kiss, Clara knew she had found something she had once believed belonged only in stories, a love that was strong enough to weather the winds of the prairie, a love that would never drift away.